Hey everybody, thank you for joining us today. We have a special guest called One City Maik, and he's going to introduce himself in a few minutes. Thank you for being here. Welcome, One City Maik. Could you tell us about yourself and how are you doing today?
How you doing? I'm doing well today. Glad to be here on your show. Looking forward to, getting to talk and speak about everything that it took to get me to this point. My name's One City Mike. I was born in the DC area. Got into the entertainment industry fresh out of high school. And so I'm here to talk today about, some of the insights that I have in my life from the different perspective that I've been able to be in, from growing up in a middle class neighborhood to choosing to live by the streets to getting into the music industry. It's been an interesting road to get me to this point that got me in front of you today.
And where is coming from your name, One City Maik?
So my name is Michael Herndon, and my father spelled it Maikil. And growing up, I kind of went by my middle name. There was too many Michaels, and because it was spelled different, and I was real shy, I decided to go by my middle name. But then, coming out of high school, I started to go back to Michael, and then I shortened it to Mike. But I still wanted to keep that uniqueness that he put into my name. Then I coupled it with One City. It's a company that I am the founder of, One City Entertainment. It was founded in 2004. And so, just to further separate myself from all the rest of the mics in the world, I decided to go with One City Maik.
And why One City Maik? Why not something else? What was the reason, One City Maik?
So I'm not gonna say it's the heart of me, but it's definitely a part of me. One City is definitely in my soul, it's in my body. When I first got out of high school, we had this entertainment company called Black Mob, and that name was real limiting, but my friends came up with it. It was our little music label and stuff like that. And as I started to go around the world and get more experience in life, I realized that we were going to be much bigger, so we needed a bigger name. And when I went around, I realized that everywhere is the same. It's just a different speed and slang. So I wanted something that represents all cities as one. And so that's when I said, well, how about One City? It was something smooth, something basic, something that stuck. And now I have many celebrities calling it out like it's a part of the branding that became real close to my lifestyle, even when my life was wild. So I said, I'm going to just go with that.
Awesome. Could you tell us a little bit more about your childhood and your story until now, how you became One City Maik?
Gotcha. That's a little bit of a long question, so I'll try to get to it as best as I can. My story is my parents moved to DC and had me 1984. I was born. It was a crazy time in history. In DC, crack was at its peak. Hip hop was fresh on the scene, and I moved to a suburban neighborhood outside of DC in Silver Spring, and inside of that society, like I found a lot of unique, like interesting experiences. It was extremely diverse, so it was hard fitting in. You had different people from different cultures, then you had the upper middle class, and I was always trying to figure out how I could fit in and stuff like that. And then when my parents got separated in middle school, my life kind of got like real confusing. Whereas, we started to have money problems. I started, getting into certain little problems at school. I was always smart, but I wound up getting into a lot of different issues, just trying to adjust. I got into smoking weed and skipping school, doing things like that. And I realized that it was more easy to be accepted on the street, so to say, as opposed to in the upper middle class society where, you know, everybody got the newest shoes and newest cars. But when I went into my friend's neighborhood, you know, as long as I had, you know, the bag of weed, I was treated good. You know, it was easier to make friends, in my opinion. Everybody else around me had their own problems, so everything that I was going through didn't seem as big, you know. So, you know, getting higher.
Which year was that? Just to have an idea of the timeline.
So I entered high school around 99, and that's really when my life shifted. You know, I started to wanted to be cool, popular, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to fit in so much that I was willing to, you know, do anything that I thought was okay to get me to the level of comfort that I wanted and acceptance that I wanted. So, you know, I got to I started selling weed in high school just to make some money, make some ends meet, and that really took me down a wild path. I wanted to be around my friends, and you know, selling weed, making money. I started feeling like I was the man. I started feeling real good about myself. You know, I didn't really have too many ambitions to go to college at the time. I was confused in high school. You know, I wanted to uh, live the rap hip hop culture, I guess. So coming out of high school, we started making music. We had Black Mob records, and it was a good opportunity to get my friends seen and heard. So I was playing football in high school, and my father gave me a video camera, and he was like, you know, go ahead, do your thing. And so ever since high school, I just been recording and recording. So by the time my friends started doing music, I said, well, let me do music videos. I started telling everybody that I do music videos, and they were like, okay, well, shoot mine, shoot mine. At the time, there was not a lot of people doing that. So it was a good way to really separate myself and really try to make a name for myself.
And then after music, after you had your name out there?
Well, I guess there is no after music, because once I started getting into that lifestyle, it kind of stuck with me. So I started, because I had a video camera, I was able to get further than a lot of people I know who were doing music at the time, because when you do music as an artist, other artists see you as competition. It's harder to get into certain events, but as a cameraman, as being a part of the media, I was able to get a lot of places that I wouldn't normally go. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy for me even being on camera now. I'm so used to being behind the camera. Like all my life, I was the one recording the interviews and stuff like that. So it's just now that I find myself being forced to talk about what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, nobody knows what I'm trying to accomplish like I do. It's my story. So you might hear me stumbling a little bit in the interviews and stuff like that, because it's not what's natural to me. What's natural is the cameras. But I learned that, you know, in order to get my message across, I'm gonna have to do things that are uncomfortable, you know, and really try to
I
get
hope
my.
not making you feel uncomfortable today.
Oh no, not you at all. I'm just getting out of work. I've been up since 4 a.m. So that's another thing. I'm an electrician by trade. I wound up oh man, it's a long story how I even got to that point. So
Yeah.
back to coming out of high school, I wound up recording a bunch of celebrities. You know, I got footage of Jay-Z. I was at the BET Awards several times, just recording T.I., doing music videos, all
But how
those
did
things.
you get there? How did you get those celebrities?
Networking. You know, I network really strong. Like it's very important. They say the game is all about who you know. So that being the case, I always go out and meet people. Like even though I'm a shy person, I'm naturally an introvert. I still run my mouth and network. So I wound up linking up with a guy named T Platinum from Platinum Plus TV, and he was doing videography like me. And so he was a little bit older, and his grind was very ferocious. And he showed me, you know, how to get press credentials and how to talk to promoters as far as recording more and more events. And so I took that information and I ran with it. I started recording people who I grew up listening to, people who I really wanted to, meet, I guess, and I'm not going to say I was starstruck at the times, but I was ignorant. Like, if I knew what I know now, then, as everybody usually says, I feel like I'd be in a different place because, I mean, I guess now I have a lot more to offer. At the time, I was just recording people, so it just was what it was, and it was very interesting. But it let my peers know that, we could really be successful if we just go ahead and give it a push. Like, when you're surrounded by success, you don't have the same limitations that everybody else experience as far as, just knowing if you can make it. We always knew that we can go further and do better if we keep on pushing.
Oh. And how could you explain, how did you get out of the chaos of the drug and the situation from high school until being able to be in the videography, being into music and doing what you love? How did you escape the chaos?
So that's a great question. And so I guess now it's different for me because now I can actually talk about some of the things that I've been through, where at the time I couldn't really talk about it because, legal situations, I didn't want to get in trouble and all these types of things. So probably until around 2008, 2009, I continued selling drugs. My goal wasn't to be like the next kingpin or king in New York or all this or all that. I simply wanted to do just enough to get by, give myself a type of freedom, still get certain respect from my peers, but also I was trying to just keep on pushing until something would take off. Like, when you grow up looking at like Suge Knight and Death Row Records and Biggie Smalls and all these things, like those were my heroes. Like those are the people who I looked up to. We all know what happened to Biggie, but at the end of the day, him being a big brother who had all that style and swag, I looked up to him. I looked up to Tupac. The way he would articulate his emotion and his passion, and he would take that feeling that I used to get walking through a middle-class neighborhood with white people, looking at me crazy, the racism that I did experience growing up, it kind of gave me like this bitterness, and the way that Tupac expressed himself gave me an edge. Like when I started, learning his lyrics and stuff like that, I started feeling the passion and the power, you know what I'm saying? So coming at, let's see, you said when I get out of trouble. So let's say I got in trouble in 2009, right? I lost everything that I built, 6 figures worth of stuff, all my equipment, money, everything that I grew up thinking defined me. I lost everything for a little while. I even lost my mind. Like I was going crazy because I had to reinvent myself. And so I wound up going down a dark spiral. It just kept going. Like, when you say trap music, which is my favorite genre of music, it's really a trap that you get in. So I got in trouble my first time and immediately I got locked up again. And that's when I realized, I'm like, no matter what I do, as long as I'm doing this, there's always a different way to get caught. So I wound up going to jail, and in jail, I talked to somebody I knew, and he told me I went up to him. I'm like, hey, Dayron, I'm like, there's too many different ways to get caught. He said, there's too many other ways to live. And that's when I realized that what I was doing was doing the same thing, expecting different results. It was the definition of insanity. And I said, all this effort I'm putting in to try to finesse and, do things that, the likelihood is that I'm going to get in trouble. The same type of power and mentality, that I put into that, if I put it into something positive and uplifting, you know, I might just be able to change my life.
True.
So I wound up coming home in around 2011. I was only in for a short period of time, and you know, I had to work at Marshall's, like scrubbing toilets. Like, I really had to go through a humbling experience trying to get back on my feet, but do it without getting in trouble again. You know, I applied for a job at Sears. I applied for a job at Kmart. Both of them, not Kmart, Target. Both of those places gave me a job, but then looked at my new record, and while I was on my way to orientation, they told me, nah, corporate denied me. Even though I was completely honest about what I did and what I went through, they denied me. So I started trying to figure out, okay, how does a person make it in society if they already got in trouble? Like, what is it that somebody can do? I started looking at my friends and you know, everybody who experienced trouble that I knew, and one of them was a electrician. So at the time, he wasn't even in the apprenticeship or nothing. I didn't even know about that. But I said, if he could do it, I'm gonna try to do it too. You know, I never did anything with labor, but all the retail dreams that I had were dying down. And when it comes to something I learned called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the biggest thing that I needed first was stability. Okay, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualizations at the top of the triangle. So at the bottom, you know, you're like surviving. At the next level, you're struggling, but you're making it past surviving. Then you have a little bit of stability, and then you have success. At the top is self-actualization. So I realized that I can't even sit here and focus on what I really want to be until I got a good, solid foundation. So I wound up getting into an electrical apprenticeship and becoming an electrician. Spent a couple years in school doing that. I graduated from that, and that's when I said, okay, now, like towards my fourth or fifth year apprenticeship, that's when I started moving back towards doing entertainment again. One of my friends, he got me a camera, and he pretty much let me know, like, we need you back out here. You know, shout out to P Fingers from Unified Dot Records. He pushed me back into the entertainment direction. And when I got back in entertainment, that's when I looked at the whole playing field, and I realized, I said, oh man, like, people are shooting videos nowadays for so cheap. You know, people shooting music videos for like $300. I seen $200. I'm like, I can't compete with that and eat. You know, along the way, by this point, I had two kids, and you know, I had mouths to feed. So $300 music videos really wasn't going to cut it for me. So I said, how can I add value? How can I reinvent myself and become a category king? How can I push myself to play bigger? And that's when I decided to start the platform that I have now, which is OneCityENT.com. It's an app in development right now. It's a web app, MVP, minimum viable product, that's available right now for the world.
That's a nice story. And what would you tell somebody who's struggling right now and thinking he would never make it out because he's been in jail and his life is over?
So those are the type of people who I really want to talk to. You know, I really had to figure out what my purpose was. Like, why did I wind up getting myself in the situations that I did? Because I chose the game. You know what I'm saying? So the game usually chooses somebody. Like, there's people who are on the streets for real who, you know what I'm saying, got there not by choice. Like, they grew up in that environment. And those are the people who I feel for as far as trying to give them hope. So I made pretty much like a trail or a pathway to get yourself back on your feet and get that type of success that you might define for yourself. And one of those things is, first, you know, I would tell somebody who's been in trouble, get a trade, get some type of education that they can't take from you, especially like a trade, because you also at that point can become your own business. You could do your own side work. You could, you know what I'm saying, do what you got to do to really claw your way up to the top. So the first thing I would tell them is work on your stability. You know, a lot of times people go to jail, and while you're in there, you have a bunch of people and y'all dreaming big about what you're going to do when you come home. Some people, unfortunately, figure they know already they want to choose the streets again, but there's a lot of great people who want to change their lifestyles, but they think of like you either got to be a rapper, a trapper, or athlete, because that's the American dream to me. You know what I'm saying? The American dream is the American scheme where you got to be a rapper, a trapper, or athlete in order to make it. You know, people don't, well, the type of people who I deal with didn't necessarily say, oh, I want to be a doctor when I grow up, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a publicist. Like there's so many different jobs and categories, but yet because being a rapper or trapper or athlete are the ones in the limelight, the ones that we are programmed into being, that's what everybody wants to be. And so what I would tell somebody who has been incarcerated, I would tell them first, worry about your stability, and then reassess the situation and set your goals higher. Like don't come home thinking, okay, I'm gonna just rap my way to the top, because there's a lot of people who are doing that, and you're going to get yourself in a trick bag situation where you're going to, you know, need the money to survive. So as long as you get your survival taken care of first, then start shooting for the stars again.
Nicely said. So based on your history, childhood, or experience, what is the best takeaway you have right now?
The best takeaway I have is it's kind of like when, like, as a kid, they tell you can be anything you want to be. You really can. You could be anything you want to be if you really want to be that. You know what I'm saying? But you have to first define what that is. You have to really define everything. Like even what does success mean to you? What does wealth mean to you? Like I just started a vision board. I read 50 Cent new book, and even he had the vision board. So that's when I really knew that that's something that I needed to get together. You know, all the Napoleon Hill books and a bunch of other books tell you need these things. If you start to do more reading and more listening, you'll start to see that there's a bunch of universal truths and universal facts. And the law of attraction is real. You know what I'm saying? So whatever your mind can believe and conceive, then you can achieve. Napoleon Hill, you know. So that's my words.
And which of your experience was the most life-changing?
I have so many life-changing experiences. You know, every year I go through some of them. I think that one of them was when I was in trouble. I was going in and out of hospitals and jails and stuff like that, trying to figure out how to get my life on track. And there was a lady in there who tried to commit suicide. Like, it dawned on me how precious life is and how miserable some people can be inside of this big world of opportunities. Like I know a bunch of people who feel like they have not had that many opportunities, and I feel like I've had too many opportunities. So I definitely feel like I'm blessed. I definitely feel like I have a higher power guiding me. I feel like seeing that lady almost kill herself was very important to my mind, to let me know that, you know, it always could be worse, and, you know, and to keep pushing forward in life. I maybe around, I mean, all my life I knew that there's a higher power and that I'm connected in some type of way. But I really got more into my consciousness more recently in the last couple of years. And with inside of that, it's been another major journey. So I would say maybe the time I did ayahuasca might have been one of those life changing moments. Like I said, I have so many. So
okay, so share with us another one.
So I go into my ayahuasca story, and I remember not knowing too much about it, but I knew that it helps people with addictions, and it helps people find themselves. And I heard that it's a crazy trip, but I try not to learn too much about it to try to set my level of expectations. So when I went down to Soul Quest in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, and I took part in my first ceremony, I've experienced like a whole new awakening, like a whole new reality within inside of myself. Um, for those who don't know about psychedelics, I think they should definitely do their research. It's nature's healing medicine. Between ayahuasca and mushrooms, I've learned that we're all connected. I learned more so about my visions on what happens when you die, like in reading Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that my purpose on earth is to elevate, and now that I have more of a purpose and more of a path, it allows me to make decisions a lot easier because I'm able to look like, okay, boom, how does this fit with my path? How does this go into my purpose? So yeah, I would say that that'd be the next high level life changing moment.
And which one of your experience was the most fulfilling, and why?
You said, I heard you say something about the most fulfilling. You were breaking up a little bit.
Yes, the experience you had, one of the one that's gonna pop out, and that's the most fulfilling, and why?
So I would say my first most fulfilling experience that sticks out to me the most was when I was playing football, because I've never been real athletic. I actually used to hate sports. I don't really watch too much of them now, but I knew that in ninth grade I really wanted to just be a part of something. And when I was in practice, I didn't feel like I was going to make it. I didn't feel like I was going to be good at football. But the very first game, I simply did what the coaches told me to do, and I did it so well that the referee was like, okay, you can stop hitting them. And my coach like really stood up for me. He was like, he's not going to stop until the whistle blows. And I remember at the end of the game, they wanted to give me a standing ovation, and I didn't even think I did something that spectacular, but I felt that was the first time that I felt like a level of excellence amongst my peers, And even though I didn't pursue football because I knew that in college my athletic work ethic would really show itself, I rode that same experience into other things that I did. I knew that if I just keep grinding and keep going, I'll still get that positivity down the line.
And what do you think about people thinking a lot about the statistics? They think and believe that they are statistics and they would never be able to change their statistics.
Like, I didn't even hear
you. You are born in the West and you are a statistic. So you can't become anything, you can't achieve anything because you are part of the statistics. What would you tell those?
I did not hear you, breaking up a little bit.
Oh. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a little better.
Okay, I hope it won't break up this time. So I was saying, what about people who think they are just statistics? They are born, they are Black, and they can't make anything else than just being part of the incarcerated people community. That's the only thing they could have and could achieve in their life. Selling drugs are the only options. You know what I mean about the statistics? People thinking, I'm just statistics.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, so it's pretty much like, the hopeless. Like what could I say to somebody who feels hopeless? What I could say to them is there's no such thing as being too late to get it. As long as you get it, you got it, you know. But in order to get it, you have to know that it's there. You know what I'm saying? So what I would say to somebody who just feels like, okay, so when I was in trouble, right? I was locked up and I already had my time. So, you know, I was doing short time. I didn't even make it to prison. I was just in jail. For me, it was just really serious just because of how many things I lost, like and changing my life. But I was in there, and one of my friends that I was talking to, he went to court that day, and he came back from court, and he got 10 years. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, he's going to be in here for a long time. And I'm sitting here, and I really just had to know. I had to ask him. I'm like, Holmes, like, what's going on? Like, you don't feel no type of way? And he was just like, I made my bed, and I'm gonna lay in it, right? So when I was in trouble, I used to look at the people who felt bad. Like, you could see when somebody's going through it, you know, because while you're in there, you're reading everybody. You're trying to get the vibe of everybody around you. You know what I'm saying? You got to be very aware in your environment. And the people who were going through pain and stuff, you know, I felt less sorry for them as I did for the people who were still happy. You know what I'm saying? And of course, like, in jail, you don't have any responsibility. So, you know, I was able to play a lot of chess, and I was able to do things and, you know, saying make myself happy. But I'm talking about there's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? And some people who just don't seem fazed by anything. And that's because they condition themselves to accept this as their reality. And it just is what it is. You know, what I would say to those people is, you know, you gotta look beyond the veil. Like, you have to, and I'm not gonna say have to, because you don't gotta do anything you don't want to do. But if
have to choose it.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly, because it's an if thing. Like, there's some people who you're never going to change. Okay, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But the people who have just that little bit of feeling that things can be better, then they could build on that. You know what I'm saying? They just got to get around. You know, they say your environment. A lot of people say I'm a product of my environment. Well, if you know that, then it's your duty to change your environment. And that includes the people around you, where you live. Like, you have to make that your first goal, to change your environment and get around things that can inspire you. I was watching this documentary on Drugs Inc., and they were talking about Baltimore, and the dude was like, you know, what'd you think? Like, I grew up and I look outside my window and this is all I see. You know, this is all I know. Like, there's people who have never been out the hood. Like, I've been lucky to, you know what I'm saying, live in the middle class neighborhood that I did, but I know people who've never been out the streets, you know what I'm saying? And for them, that's how they feel. They feel like this is it, you know, some of them. And so my whole thing is to try to get them that exposure. But that's why I want to do it through music and entertainment and things that we already naturally cling to. You know, that's why what I'm doing right now is so important.
Do you want to share with us any specific moment when you were the happiest, or happiest last, saddest first, saddest moment in your life, and then you finish with the happy ending, with the happiest moment of your life?
So
during this journey.
So my mother's bipolar, and so I'm sure that, you know what I'm saying, it affects me, right? So with that, you know what I'm saying, you have your mania and you have your lows. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm not clinically diagnosed as bipolar or nothing, but I've been on some wild swings in my life. You know what I'm saying? So when you the first time I went to the BET Awards, like, they let me go in there, they let me get my press credentials, but it was only supposed to be for the first day, for the media day. You know what I'm saying? The second day, you know, we were still there. We had nothing to do, so we tried to get on the red carpet. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't let us get on the red carpet. So, you know, we started finessing our way through the situation. We wound up, you know, infiltrating to the point where we're all the way backstage. And if we walked out the next door, we would have walked right out on stage. That's when T.I. walked off the stage from doing the song "What You Know About That," and we were like, "What's up, T.I.? What's up? What's up?" Like, it was one of those times where we felt like we made ourselves invisible to get where we wanted to be inside of that environment. It was like we really felt like we could do anything at that point. You know what I'm saying? We knew that all our friends were at home watching it, and here we are all the way, you know what I'm saying, like in position. So there's several other experiences like that I had just in the entertainment business. You know, I had one of my friends, I was like, "What's your favorite artist?" He was like, "Gucci Mane." I went to a club in DC, and my friends didn't even have their IDs or nothing. I went to the security, and I'm like, "Hey, you know what I'm saying? We here to work. We got the cameras. We're here to work. Let us in." He's like, "Oh, you gotta go to the other side." I'm like, "Over there, over there." Like, I made this big scene so everybody would see me. So I went to the other side, and I'm like, "Yeah," he said, "I gotta go in right here. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me." You know what I'm saying? I got to the next promoter, and he was like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "We here to record." He like, "I got my own cameras." Nah. I'm like, "Man, I'm here for the owner. I'm here for the owner." Nah. I was like, "See, look," I pointed at somebody. I was like, "Man, go get what's the name." As soon as the dude walked away, I knew he wasn't going to go get anybody. So I just had to fake it. I was like, "See, I told you I'm good. I'm good. Excuse me, I'm good." And just pushed the guy out the way. Next thing you know, I'm infiltrating the whole club with two of my friends that didn't even have IDs. And just one guy who, I grew up with, I was able to take him not only, to go see his favorite artist, but I got him in the little section in front of the crowd right at the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be times like that when I'm able to do something for other people, when I just feel really good. You know what I'm saying? It's just the vibe that you got going on where you just feel like you can achieve whatever you set yourself out to achieve. It's not like winning the whole game, because life is a long time, but that was like throwing the touchdown on that play. Like, it was a good moment, a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a good memory.
Yeah. So you said my saddest moment too?
Yes.
Oh man. So just like I had so many good moments, I have so many sad moments. The saddest moment, well, of course, was when my father died. Rest easy.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. But the saddest moment that I have outside of like death and tragedy, I would say, was when the police ran into my studio and I lost everything. I'm not going to say too much about everything. I'm just going to say I was in the house and the police came banging on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Open the door. I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "We want you." I'm like, "Who am I?" And they're like, "Derek Jones." I was like, "Derek Jones? They're looking for Derek Jones." I tried to say it real loud so that person could hear me and get out. So I tried to hurry up and put him out the back door. And, the police put the guns on us and made us lay down. And all I had on was shorts and a white beater. And at the time I had long hair and my hair was out. And at that moment, I knew that my world was changing. So it wasn't even just sad. It was like a mix of a bunch of different emotions, like, fear, sadness, anger, resent, So come to find out, the police the next couple of days wound up having a warrant for me. And to lose everything that I worked for in one day, and my mind was like the biggest thing, because I'm like, I don't know how to get back, how to even redefine my purpose. I was probably like, I was 20 some. Let's see, 20. I was two. I'm probably like, I don't know, 26, 27. I don't know. But all I do know is it felt like it was too far in for me to turn around. Like, there was no going back. I didn't feel like I was going to be able to reinvent myself. And so on that day, I lost a lot of hope. And yeah, I was able to regain things, but that was probably one of the saddest times.
You know, you have a book there.
Oh my goodness. I have more. I have a documentary. Like, so the crazy thing about my life is it's all been on tape, you know. So like I'm just telling you some of the crazy stories, trying to condense everything into whatever time we have. But when I'm able to put the documentary together, I feel like it's going to be very compelling, you know, especially now that I have an idea of what I want the end to be. And that is to be the face of second chances and turn all of my self-made obstacles into tools of understanding in order to help bridge the gap in society that we have and translate the language of success, because I feel like everything's about perspective. And I feel like when you see, you know, like these situations with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, and you see people arguing on the internet, I feel like a lot of it just comes down to perspective. You know, I got
and
into
you jump into my next question, which is, what do you think about complaining culture? I call it complaining culture versus the ignoring culture, because everybody knows that everything that's happening now used to happen in the past. It's not like it's something brand new, but the difference is how people used to tackle it, which was more like ignorance or just keep moving and just put it aside, while today it's more like a complaining culture.
So I believe that in order to tackle that question, it would have to relate to everybody's perspective differently, right? Like, I have no problem with somebody complaining if they're still doing action inside of it. You know what I'm saying? But you have to do some type of action. You can't just complain. So it's like, I got into this little thing with some people because some people were frustrated about the march on Washington that's coming up on the 28th, and they're like, marching isn't enough. Marching isn't enough. But what it is, you know, we need some people to march. You know what I'm saying? Since George Floyd's unfortunate passing, there's been a lot of money being shifted in Silicon Valley. You got great people like Andreessen Horowitz, who created the TXO Fund, Talent Opportunity Fund. So you got a lot of people who are now, you know, looking out for people. And some of it came because of the protesting and the violence, which some of it could be conceived as complaining. So it all depends on, first, what is the complaint and what is complaining, but it all comes down to action. Like, if you're just going to sit there and talk about something and not come up with a go-to plan and strategy, then that, to me, I consider complaining, and that is not going to be enough, you know. So that's what I think. I think there has to be action at all times. Even when you don't know the exact answer, nobody knows the exact answer, but you got to do something. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out what you believe in and at least move in that direction, you know. And if you're wrong, you'll learn a lesson, but you'll learn it a lot faster if you're taking action, you know.
Cool. So what's your perspective between the before and now?
You said, what's my thought about before and now?
Yeah, yes. Like before, it was less march, less noise. I would call it noise than it used to. So what's the perspective? Do you think it's better to be more silent and take actions, or complaining with actions?
I think that it's a combination of both. I think it's a combination of both, but like, you need to be vocal, and sometimes it's going to come off as complaining, but it has to be coupled with that action, you know. I don't feel like somebody should be, you know, ashamed of, you know, what they are doing or where they're from, to be shamed out of communicating, because sometimes that complaint is just communicating, but they're not able to articulate everything that they're trying to say. Like, that's one reason why I always looked up the music artists, is because the way they articulate. Like, you see me in an interview, I say, you know what I'm saying, and I said about 1,000 times, and sometimes people can't follow me at all times, so I have to really work hard at it. But artist who's able to articulate the struggle, they're able to turn that same type of complaining into music. So I feel like as long as you're applying some type of action while you're communicating, things are going to be all right.
Great. And what is the culture you would like to implement? Like right now, you have your idea, you have your documentary, you have your app, you have the music as a conveyor of your message. What kind of culture would you like to implement?
So, when I think of culture, I think of hip hop, urban, I would say black culture, but I have white brothers who are still influenced and a part of it just the same. So like so a lot of times when I'm talking about my business, I say shape the culture. So the culture to me is that thing that we cling to that gives us our identity. And as a black man growing up in America, when you don't know your history, you don't have but so many cultures that you can cling to. Like I had people who were from Africa, but you can't just say African. You have to ask somebody like where in Africa you're from. Like you're from Senegal. I got people in Eritrea, Ethiopia. One of my good friends is from Liberia. You know what I'm saying? They all have sort of a culture to cling to. Spanish. You can't just say Spanish, it's Mexican, El Salvador, you know what I'm saying? Like different countries have their culture. Then you have white people. So you have, people from France and Italy and all these different places. And then you have like that American white, that American pie, that patriotic, that gotta have a bunch of guns. I meet a lot of those types of people in the trade, you know what I'm saying? And they have their culture and I respect it, you know what I'm saying? It's what they know, so my culture naturally that I feel the most comfortable with is the hip hop rap culture, but I have to be able to define what that culture is to me and not just let other people shape it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like just because they play WAP on the radio all day doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, young black females have to cling to that part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're in a strip club, you know what I'm saying, there's a place for that. You know what I'm saying? Just like trap music, I feel like it's a great therapeutic outlet for people who are really going through it. You know what I'm saying? But for people such as myself and, you know what I'm saying, other people, you know what I'm saying, you don't have to glorify that music to the point where it makes you do things that go against your natural human inclination, you know what I'm saying, as far as, treating others how you wanted to be treated. You know what I'm saying? When I first got onto the streets, I did it because I didn't want to be ignorant. I thought I was being cool, but there was also a demand. So I thought as long as I'm the one with the supply, you know what I'm saying, filling the demand, then it made me the man, you know what I'm saying? So what I learned with that when I went to jail is the pain that I caused and the pain that there is behind misguided culture. So culture to me is something that needs to be constantly defined and shaped by the people for the people.
And how do you think each individual could contribute to make the world a better world?
So the first thing that I feel somebody could do, coming from the music world, I'm going to say support artists or support people who can articulate where we're trying to go. You know what I'm saying? We need to find leaders, but also make leaders, but embrace people with a positive message. So, I built a platform to help find those storylines that give people a platform to be heard. You know what I'm saying? People who've been through struggle or understand, but people who are able to articulate and make others understand what we're going through in order to move into a better direction. So what I would say is, become leaders, find leaders, and make leaders. You know what I'm saying? And I prefer to do that through entertainment just because it's the only way that I know, It's just me.
And what kind of help do you want? You would like to have while you are conducting that new journey of yours?
So the type of help that I'm looking for is to find people to support. So I'm looking for, more fans to come and vote and help me sort through the content to find leaders with the music on the
Where do you want the fan to come?
I want them to come to onecitynt.com. That's the platform, and like we got a online showcase right now called Just Us For Us, the language of the unheard. And what we're doing is we're trying to find people who could talk about police brutality or talk about the struggles that we got and articulate it in such a way that it can be felt by others, So we're trying to look for somebody and we're trying to incentivize them by offering a marketing package so that they can be the voice of the future. We teamed up with a program called Life Tagger, which is a messaging app where, if an artist is on the platform, they could download Life Tagger and hit the Discover Audio button, and they'll be led into all the things behind the online showcase. So I feel like if fans could support us on that, on getting artists into the Just Us For Us showcase, we could show the world that, instead of rioting and protesting, we could make artistic expressions that show what we're going through so that we could be heard and felt.
Sounds interesting. So we already talked about where the fans could find you. We already talked about who's the target audience. Now, I'm wondering, with everything that happened, Floyd, Brianna this year, we had the COVID-19 issue. How do you see the holiday season this year?
You said the holiday season this year?
Holiday season, Christmas holiday season 2020.
I feel like it's just going to be another opportunity to be at home and be with your loved ones. And it's going to be another opportunity for you to really cherish those loved ones. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at the holidays, I look at the thrill that I had at Christmas when I was a little boy. Then when my family, started going through what we started going through, Christmas didn't have that same feeling for me. However, I'm able to give that feeling to my kids as far as having them have something they can look forward to. So regardless of religion, you know what I'm saying, I feel like the season is very important just because it's something for people to look forward to. And it's in the heart of, the weather changing and it's cold outside. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they provide the perfect distraction to get you at home. And I feel like now with COVID going on, that is going to be one of the most important things now. People who get financially caught up in it, it's going to be a rude awakening when, that tree doesn't got all the presents under it. I feel like this year is a great opportunity for people to learn that it's not all about materialistic things. It's a good time for people to be grateful and thankful for what they have. A lot of people have died in the last year, and I feel like the holiday season will be a great opportunity for people to be amongst their loved ones.
Sounds great. And could you share with us a great Christmas you had? So we finished on a nice touch.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Let's rephrase it otherwise, because I've never spent Christmas in DC. So what is it like, Christmas in DC?
So honestly, it's usually it's not like a white type time of year. It's not like a lot of snow. We only get snow like every so many years. But it is still cold. However, for me and my family, it's just about, being able to give our kids that stability and that better experience coming up than what was taken from me. Like, I have my oldest child now, she's 16, and to be able to see her joy and happiness at this age, this late in the game, you know, that feels great to me. My little ones, they still live in this little bubble that we're trying to create for them. Like, you know, it's okay to still live in fantasy and not be taken away from your innocence at that age. And you know, all they want to do is play Roblox and switches and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a good balance to let kids really have a childhood, because there's a lot of kids who are forced to grow up early and they don't get that, you know. So for me, it's all about the kids and giving them that experience.
That's awesome. Thank you again, One City Maik. It was a pleasure having you today, and I look forward to hearing from your documentary. I can't wait for that. And once again, if you're interested to join the platform, could you tell us again one more time where to find you, the platform, and the app?
Thank you for asking that and giving me the opportunity one more time. But before I get into that, I do want to say thank you for having me on your platform and giving me the ability to express myself. You know, it's kind of felt like I was in therapy for a second, like I was on the couch. It was really therapeutic for me just now going through everything. But you can find me on all social medias at One City ENT. That's one spelled out ONE City ENT, and my personal profile is at One City Maik. That's ONE City MAIK Mike.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Have a great one.